Well, hey, it's a beautiful day out on Lake Michigan today. It's Wednesday, August 27th. And I'm out solo sailing on Tally Ho. My buddies are just leaving the marina back there. They'll be trying to catch me, I'm sure. Beautiful day for sail, though. You can see the city of Chicago skyline out there. We've got fairly light winds, about 10 knots, northwest. Very little chop on the lake, unlike some of the last few days where I sailed in 6-foot swells. Today's very calm. Tally Ho is doing well. Autopilots are running the show for now. We've got the sails rigged up for light air sailing. We've got the lazy jacks and the Mac pack pulled down and rolled up so the loose foot on the sail can do its thing. Full jib out. Thought about the spinnaker today, just too lazy to pull it out and rig it by myself. Really is a lovely day though. Down below at my nav station, a couple of cool things down here to show. First of all, I've got a Raspberry Pi tucked in back over there, running some software, navigation software. It also is tied into my NEMA 2000 network, so I can pull in wind instrumentation. So right now I can kind of keep an eye on where we're going and what our speed is and what our wind angle is and what the wind is doing, all from down below. And then I even have email out here. So right now the Raspberry Pi is using my iPad here as a hotspot, and that's allowing us to get email while we're out here or do other things while we're out here. A lot of times I use this little router to basically Wi-Fi the boat. The thing is, right now it's plugged into 110 power. It'll run off a 12 volt. I just forgot the cable to plug it into the cigarette lighter deal. Then I could have it running Wi-Fi out here. It would still use the iPad as a hotspot, but then this would provide power to any other devices, provide Wi-Fi connectivity to any other devices out here. Also at my nav station, I've got my Renogy battery charger. So this is for the house bank. My two lithium ion phosphate 100 amp hour batteries that are hooked up in parallel. And then this little guy is for my starter battery, which is a older lead acid battery, but good for a starting battery. And I can keep a quick eye on voltage there to make sure it's doing what it needs to do. Just want to double check where I'm headed here, make sure we're headed in the right direction. We're actually trying to sail to this buoy out here. Wind angle is pretty favorable for that now. I've been kind of screwing around trying to get out of the marina. You can see my tack here and then out, and then I was gonna just head north here, but then the winds kind of came a little bit more northwest, so now I can follow this track. I'll try to sail out around that gong. It's about 5 miles out. So we'll give that a shot today and see if we can make it. When it's really a slow sail like today, the winds have died since I talked to you last. We got about 2.5 knots of wind out here right now. It's very, very calm. I tacked short of my target, which was that gong out there. The wind just kind of wiped out, and rather than delay turning around, I decided I would just tack and let the slow wind take us back towards the marina instead of further away. I don't know, I'm starting to get a little bit of backwind here, so I'm not sure exactly what's happening with the wind. I think they're down over there by the shore though. I don't think anybody's going very far today because the winds are just too light. So we'll finish up lunch and see if we can get the sails filled a little bit, but it's 2 knots of wind and it won't even keep the sail full, so might be a good time to take a swim, I guess. All right, we'll have a little more later. Well, I think it's time for a swim. I got my rope hanging out. I got the ladder down. I can reach that ladder, by the way, from the water, so it's never a problem. If I forgot to put the ladder down, I can still pull it down. Yeah, so my phone's not waterproof, so I'm not taking you with me on this little dunk in the lake. Autopilot's on, the winds are almost zero, the water is still, so we'll get wet. Maybe if we're lucky, the wind will pick up on our way. Not looking likely though. And then we'll decide if we're gonna keep trying to sail or if we're gonna motor home. I'll be back up on deck in a minute. Maybe I need to jump in the water and kick my feet while I'm holding on to the stern and see if I can get the boat to move a little faster. Pretty light winds. All right, back on the boat. I see a few cat paws out there. You know, maybe we'll get lucky and we'll pick up a little bit of wind. Right now it's looking pretty anemic. A knot and a half of wind. And we're doing, well, essentially zero. So hopefully that little disturbance area on the water means there's some wind over there. That's what we're aiming for. Beautiful view of the Chicago skyline today. It's a lot easier to see with the naked eye, but I think you can make that out a bit. Yeah, we've got the rope and the ladder all picked up. I probably could have swam as fast as the boat was going pretty easily, but I always like that rope. It's fun to water ski behind the boat if it's moving at a couple of knots, and it's a safety line for me. A lot of times I'll just hold on to the ladder, the bottom ladder rung, and stretch out behind the boat. It's nice, especially on a hot day. All right, we're almost to that wind disturbance, so let's hope we pick up a little bit of a breeze. Well, in the nick of time, we got a little bit of wind, so we're up to 9 knots. We're pointed up pretty tight right now just because we're trying to make our way back towards the marina, so we're pretty tight to the wind, just 38 degrees off the wind or so. But yeah, we're just let her run for now. Got dressed and back at the helm. I did notice while I was out though that we've got a ship headed our way, a barge and a tug actually. I can see them on my AIS. It says we're not going to hit. CPA is 0.2 miles or something like that, but I'm also picking up some speed, and I don't know where he's going. I suspect he's going into the cement factory with a load of sand or whatever. I don't know for sure. I'm probably going to hail the skipper pretty soon just to find out where he's going, and certainly want to stay out of his way. He's the Terry D. So we'll keep an eye on the Terry D, see where he's going. Work to stay. Well, I talked to the skipper of the Terry D. He hadn't seen me. He was looking at another boat, one of my buddy boats, but he hadn't seen me, I don't think. I found out where he was going. He's not going where I thought he was, so he's going to cut right across my bow here. I told him I would stay out of his way just to keep on moving, which is probably my obligation on commercial vessels versus pleasure vessels. However, I am under sail, so I don't know exactly what that means, but it's easy enough for me to stay out of his way. I tacked for a second, gave him enough time to clear my bow easily. The good news is my VHF worked, but the bad news is my handheld remote mic here in the cockpit, I didn't raise them on that. I ended up having to run down below to call on the main radio. This one talks to the main radio, and that way it uses the masthead antenna and all that, but for some reason he wasn't responding on that, so I ran down below and he came through clear as a bell when I went down there and called him on that one. So, oh well, not sure why, but it's all good. All right, well, he's going to clear us, and we're going to keep making our way towards the marina. The wind's died off a little bit, but we're also pinched up pretty tight, so we can fall off once he's past our bow. Maybe pick up a little speed. I'm trying to figure out when we'll get back. Let's see. So put in the marina, navigate to, and just go in a straight line, which we won't be able to do, but it'll give us a pretty good idea. So a little over 2.5 miles. We're going slow though, so we won't get there for, let's see, it's 12:44, another hour almost, because we're not moving very fast. So if we can pick up our speed, that would be good. Otherwise, worst case, we're home we're back to the marina around 2 or a little earlier maybe. So we'll keep going. We'll make 10 miles today, maybe 11, but it's been a really slow go for sure. Well, after a particularly slow and easy sail, we've got some wind now. We're up to almost 13 knots of wind, 13 there. And we're making 5.5 knots. We're still pinched up a little bit because we're trying to go over there, so we'll run down here to the shore and then we'll tack back to the northwest or something like that. But it's nice to have a little bit of wind all of a sudden, and we can end the sail on a positive note with a little bit of speed and wind in our hair.